Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to speak for a few minutes on a motion that relates to the coming increases in capital gains tax and dividend tax. Very few Americans, and I think even some people here in the Senate, are not aware that in about 6 months there's going to be a tax explosion in this country. Taxes on everyone from a 10% bracket all the way up to major corporations. Taxes are going up at a time when we know that raising taxes will kill jobs in America. The Heritage Foundation estimates that if we allow taxes to expire this year, the current rate of taxes expire, and taxes go up on our economy, that we could lose in the first year 270,000 jobs. This is really unacceptable when unemployment is already near 10%. The economy is waning. We just got a bad housing report. And as all of these companies plan for their future, they're certainly not going to risk capital, expand their companies, add people, if they know their taxes are going to go up. What I've proposed as part of this debate on a tax bill is to focus on just one area that we know has a lot to do with investment, growth of companies, and it's the capital gains tax and the dividends tax. My motion would refer the underlying bill back to committee to add the provisions that cap gains tax and dividend taxes will both stay at 15%. If we don't act, in about 6 months, the capital gains taxes will go from 15 to 20%, and the dividend taxes, which affect a lot of senior citizens on fixed incomes, will go from 15 all the way up to nearly 40%. That makes absolutely no sense in a recession with the joblessness that we have across this country. Surely, as a Senate, as a Congress, we could recognize that raising taxes on investment, those who are going to risk their capital, does not make sense when we're trying to do everything we can to stimulate the economy. We've tried it the other way. We've tried the government spending approach. We all know this government spending plan that we called a stimulus, where we spent nearly $1 trillion, has failed. The President promised if we rushed that through and got stimulus immediately into the economy over a year ago, that we could keep unemployment below 8% and put Americans back to work. But since then, we've lost millions of real jobs. We've added some government jobs because this is basically a government spending plan, but we certainly hadn't put the real economy that most Americans depend on back to work. We're continuing to lose ground, yet we stick to this failed stimulus plan. And even when we try to pay for extending unemployment benefits with unspent stimulus money, my colleagues on the other side are holding so tightly to this that they won't even use that money to pay for it. Instead, they want to raise taxes and add to our debt. Again, at a time when we really can't afford this as a nation. When all of the so-called economic experts are warning us that this debt that we have today is unsustainable. But almost every week in this body, the Democrats are proposing programs that add to the debt, that increase taxes, everything that's counter to improving our economy and adding to jobs and helping to build a brighter future in this country. Even some of those who were strong supporters of the stimulus bill have come out publicly and said we guessed wrong. I'm afraid we should not continue to guess. One thing we know from history, as we look back over several decades, is that when we lower capital gains and dividends, we improve the economy and we increase job creation in the economy. It makes no sense for us to move ahead sending the signal to all the investors in this country that we're going to punish their investment at a time when we need them to step up to the plate. I hope my colleagues will consider this. What we're asking is that the bill just be sent back to the Finance Committee so that they can work on ways to keep capital gains and dividend taxes the same rather than let them explode, along with all the other taxes that are going to go up in the next 6 months. So, Mr. President, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on it. I hope we'll have a chance to vote on this bill. I understand the majority is trying to table this bill, and I strongly urge my colleagues to take this matter up, to send it back to Finance where they can figure out how to make sure that we don't kill more jobs in the economy like we've done with the other failed stimulus plan. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back and note the absence of a quorum.